I am Jeffrey Villardwen. In the second episode of the Gwined campaign from Thrones of Britannia, just released less than a week ago. And as you remember, we were building up our campaign. We had defeated a small rebel army. And we are extending hands of friendship to various friends. We have an alliance with Powys. It is the winter of 878 AD, and we were near Chester when it was reinforced by a large army. So I tried to put my arm in a bridge, and our enemy has attacked us. So the army that had come to reinforce, which is a sizable army, has attacked us, and they're being reinforced by the garrison. The two armies together, they are big. In fact, the first army was as big as mine, and then they're reinforced by the garrison. So it is the enemy has about 50% more men than we have, so it is a battle against the odds. And we'll see how it pans out. So you can see the army that had reinforced Chester was bigger than ours, although it was somewhat depleted from the various fights with Powys. And now we're here, and we are guarding this river, and presumably there's a bridge here, or a ford, one of the two. So there is a bridge. The enemy has also archers, but not as many. They have some javelin men. So we're going to do a good old medieval 2 defense of the bridge. Let's see how this goes. So we do the standard thing we do in medieval 2.
The enemy has reinforcements.
The downside is we don't have any catapults or anything of that sort. And so it's not so easy to beat the army coming down the bridge. We'll see also how the AI deploys. It's a very interesting test. So will they just charge down the bridge? What will they do? So this is the Mercian army. They are in blue. It's quite a pretty army. I would say it's a little bit too uniform. Maybe with some kind of grey, dull coloring, but blue. I think the Welsh army looks like more genuine. In any case, this is still here the Mercian army. They're about to start shooting with one and only archer unit they have. I think they only have one archer unit. Okay, they started shooting at us. I'm withholding fire at the moment, although I have more archers. I shot a few shots there at that unit. They had some axemen near the bridge. But the other archer unit is withholding fire. And we've set up our men already in this U-shape. The enemy is not charging down the bridge, so we put this unit here in this kind of studio type formation. It's called a castle formation, and I put them near the front, and so they're absorbing now all the fire. The enemy is concentrating its fire on this unit rather than the units that are at the bottom of the bridge, which could be more serious problems. So I don't mind them shooting at this unit, which is in castle formation.
How about we take a few steps back?
Well, the soldiers said, how about taking a few steps back? It's wonderful. So I don't want them to take a few steps back, because otherwise they start shooting at the side of this unit here, which is a levy unit, and get massacred. The Welsh levies, I have to say, they're a tough unit. So we have some archers here, and we're shooting at various units. We're just taking pot shot at whatever unit we feel like, whichever doesn't seem on its guard at the moment. So our enemy also has some levies from the look of it. They have this slightly heavier unit here of axemen. So I shot a few shots at this unit. I killed about, I don't know, half a dozen, maybe 10 of their men, maybe a dozen, no more. And they have this interesting I thought they were supposed to be axemen. They have this interesting thing they're holding. It looks like some kind of handgun. It's classified as an axe, I guess. And the reinforcements are arriving. This is the general's bodyguard of the garrison. And here is the rest of the garrison from Chester. They're coming over to reinforce this army. And the other units are, by the look of it, mostly Levy spearmen. They don't have helmets, very lightly armored. They just have shields.
I know you're tired, lads.
This is the bridge. We are ranged across the bridge, exchanging arrow shots. And here you see there's one unit here. They're approaching. So the AI is making its first move. These archers have shot all their arrows, and so now these javelin men are coming onto the bridge. For some reason the bridges are a little bit buggy, nothing serious, but you can get onto the bridge from the sides of the bridges, even though there's this fence. The bridge looks very tattered, looks in a very bad shape. Looks like it hasn't been repaired from the days of the Romans. And so we're shooting at this javelin man. Oh, they started shooting javelins at us. They're shooting javelins at that unit in the castle formation, which is fine. That's ideal. I pulled back the other units so they don't get harassed by the javelin men. Okay, a bit of a cracking up of the sound there, but I didn't have so many issues with the video in this battle. Just a couple of times there was a little bit of cracking up. Okay, this unit temporarily retreated, now they're coming back. They've been very badly depleted by our archers. It is unfortunate I have to waste arrows at this unit. I'd rather shoot the arrows at the main army as they are climbing up the bridge. So our enemies are sending a second javelin unit our way. They are also throwing javelins at us. We are throwing javelins back. We have some cavalry, that's javelin cavalry, so we can shoot javelins at them. But at the moment, I think I'm shooting arrows actually at them because I don't want to expose the cavalry to their javelins. So we shot a couple of them. We killed a few of them. I'll kill another one. Keep killing them. That's very nice. So here are those spearmen in castle formation. We lost quite a few spearmen here. But most of this unit is intact. Considering we've destroyed about 2 javelin units, killed some archers and axemen, we sacrificed about a third of a unit to achieve all that. I think it was worth it. And so now the enemy army, I do believe, has decided to cross the bridge. So these javelin men are the vanguard, and then they're followed by these axemen, so to speak, the guys with the funny looking swords that look like handguns. And some enemy cavalry is coming over. This could be the enemy general, the unit with the cavalry. There's a wonderful view as the entire Mercian army is now crossing the bridge under fire. Now our archers are raining arrows at the approaching enemy army. You can see some of them managed to jump off the bridge on the side. That's why I'm saying the bridge is a little bit buggy. Okay. Wow, there's a flood of Mercian soldiers now. These funny looking axemen that are holding these things are now going on melee. It looks like we routed one of their units. We also have a couple of heavy units ourselves. We have some axemen. and they are reasonably well armored. You see them in this wearing mail without capes. Then the guys with the red and green capes and the national colours of Wales are heavy swordsmen. And these are our two heaviest units. We have them here to stop the enemy from pouring through, and we have lighter units on the sides. And we have this cavalry here is scouts that they are capable of throwing javelins, so they've already thrown their javelins into that mass of Mercian men here. And now it's a case of who lasts longer. You know, whoever loses his general first will be in disadvantage. Our general is to the rear, so it's not involved in the fighting. The enemy general is involved in the fighting. Both of them are involved in the fighting. So let's hope the enemy generals get killed. So here our scouts charged into the enemy because our side here was getting weak. And now they're going to disengage and withdraw. So the left side has been worn out a little bit. There are some light levies still defending on this side. The enemy general is dead, that's great. So one of the enemy generals has been slain. That cavalry unit has been wiped out. If the enemy general was with that unit, there's no enemy cavalry left. And we still have the other enemy general, so we'll see how he fares. So you can see these axemen here, they seem to be doing really well as our heavy swordsmen in the red and green capes. So they push the enemy back onto the bridge, more or less. I didn't expect that. It would be very difficult to do that in Medieval 2, because there are a lot more enemy soldiers, so the tendency will be for them to push us back. So it's very good we managed to actually reform our lines. Okay, we keep breaking these enemy units, but we're still being outnumbered. I don't know how the balance of battle, but at this point it's still against us. The enemy still has more men. So here's a nice close-up. The gameplay is better, so even though presumably it is as demanding on the video card, the graphics card, as Attila, it actually runs in slightly higher frame rate. It depends. If there are a lot of trees, or if there are a lot of buildings in cities and so on, if there are lots and lots of men, the game still breaks up, the sound breaks up, the frame rate goes down. But it's managing this, and there are quite a few units in this battle. And I'm only playing on a laptop. This is not a great computer I'm playing this game on. So we're doing okay here. So here's a great view. It looks like there's some very strong, very well armored soldiers left. It's probably part of one of the enemy general's bodyguards fighting, mixed in with the levies. The levies have no helmets, they have no body armor. The bodyguards have helmets and body armor. And we mostly have levies here. By now, our heavy units are becoming rather depleted, but we have plenty of levies still alive. So the levies are not so bad, the Welsh levies, the spear levies. I'm quite surprised. So we keep breaking the enemy units, except anyone who's around the enemy general bodyguard seems to be holding. And a few units now got rallied and are coming back. A few of the merchants have come back. And this is still very even here. Our scouts here made a quick charge. Some levies have come to reinforce the enemy, and so the levies received the charge and are now withdrawing. You can see there's a very large number of enemy levies that are pulling back. I don't have actually many more men. That's why I'm throwing in the scouts, because I just have now some of our own levies and about 4 dozen of our heavies. Our heavies are very depleted by now, and so basically just have levies mostly left. Most of our armies now is levies, and even then there are probably a few more than 100 men here, but not many more. So that's why I'm throwing in the cavalry, and the cavalry goes in and just kind of briefly charges any unit that looks like it's about to break, and then they withdraw immediately, so they don't bump into the enemy units that are in good order. And here they charge the unit that was already routing, but it looked like some of the enemy were coming back potentially, so I pulled back again the scouts. It looks like now the enemy is on its last legs. Okay, one of our levy units has been routed, and I had to charge the enemy with our scouts here, this heavy infantry unit of the enemy, because really at this point we have like almost nothing left, and some of the enemy units that were routed seem to be coming our way. It looks like they have been rallied, but the enemy general, the second general, has been routed, and so that's it. The enemy now is doomed. Up to this point it was even. So it just came to the wire, basically. I still have men, but the men that I have at this point are mostly archers. Nearly most of the infantry now, maybe I have 100 infantrymen left. I think it's something of that order, not many more, if that, even. And so now we've won this battle. Our general has gone over along with the scouts, and we are collecting prisoners. Doesn't look so grim after all. Oh, he must be so relieved they won this fight. It was even or against us up to the very last point, until the second enemy general routed. It could have gone either way. And so I like how this game runs. You can feel the rain, you can feel the waterlogged terrain, you can hear the rainy sounds, and it looks very English. And the videos don't break up. There are no gaps where suddenly the video freezes or something. It's very smooth, runs very, very smooth. It's very well optimized, despite the rain, which actually is a burden on the graphic card. And there's still trees and forests and grass. Despite of all that, the game runs rather smoothly. So that's it, basically. That's the end of the battle. There's some wonderful views. It's almost as good as Shogun. Well, not really as good as Shogun. Shogun was exceptional. The views, the landscapes were just amazing. Okay, so a Pyrrhic victory. A victory still. We were outnumbered by something like 50%. So the enemy had 1,200 men. We had about 775. We lost half our army, almost, not quite. No, we lost half our army, more than half, but we wiped out the enemy army. As you can see, we lost nearly all our infantry. We barely had 100 infantrymen left. The cavalry did the best, so that's something to note. The archers did okay, but the best performing units were actually the swordsmen and axemen, and the Welsh are supposed to be good in archers and spearmen, So you can imagine that however good they are no match for swordsmen and axemen. So the Welsh are a bit of an underdog in that way. But it's nice to be fighting this campaign with an underdog faction. And take note, the cavalry actually, even though it was a defensive battle, the cavalry didn't get really involved. They caused a lot of casualties. Yeah? In this battle, they did very little. So here goes that enemy army with the 15, 17 units, whatever it was. So they have been defeated. And we are now holding the bridge. And Chester is now practically undefended. I think a small unit managed to get back to Chester. But it was just one unit. Chester or Kister, or perhaps Caster. I'll stick with Chester, the modern pronunciation. And so here's one of the enemy generals, it was the governor, and here's the other, Ceolwulf, the second enemy general who had the main army. They were both slain, a Pyrrhic victory. Yes, there is a small unit thing still in Chester. And we lost the target, that's no big deal. The coordination target, something happens, no big deal. I think we had a coordination target on that unit, which is now destroyed, on that army. And yes, Chester just has just one depleted javelin unit. So it's dead meat, it's dead in the water. So we've gotten Chester, next game turn. But look how depleted our army is. Just the archers are okay. And the cavalry didn't lose too many men. For the Cymry. For the glory of the Cymry. The glory of the Welsh. So that was our other general there. We had one general, you remember, use him as a cavalry unit, kind of, and to recruit spearmen. So there he is. He's come to reinforce us. He's on a bridge there. And we are laying siege on Chester. One of the factions has been destroyed.
Victory awaits!
Victory awaits. That's good to hear. There's events. Chester is being besieged. Hello, hello. The Royal Hall of Aberfro has been built. Wonderful. The governor of Aberfro now has a carpenter as an auxiliary. He's been working hard on that Royal Hall. That's great. Okay, we're about to go and besiege now Chester. By the way, I said something about the poem, The Royal Hall of Aberfro is now silent. I think it's by an anonymous writer, and it was written when the last King of Wales died. It was like in memory of the last King of Wales. It was a contemporary who wrote that poem, some bard, the last Welsh bard. Okay, so this battle was quick and easy, auto-resolved, of course, because Chester has Roman walls, and if we try to go in, the Roman walls would just destroy our army. We wouldn't be able to take Chester. But by auto-resolving, we get rid of that annoying problem. So we have the option to occupy or sack. If we sack, we gain 900 gold, so we might as well sack. I mean, these are merchants, they're not Welsh.
Deeds increase my renown.
His renown has been increased, so Anarot is now a heroic leader. He increases heroism is up to 23.
Will do his duty.
And we can now go in and occupy Chester. Occupy. We can't make any more money from sacking, that's it.
Yes.
So, hopefully we can replenish our losses here and hunker down and wait for a few turns. Hopefully the tide of war will not come our way until our army has replenished. So you can see also from the minimap, Poise has taken a province, we've taken a province. So we are doing well in our offensive against Mercia. So I'm going to combine the two levy units into one, because they were so depleted. And then that frees up a slot so I can perhaps recruit another unit. Because these levy spearmen, they were pretty good, but I can probably get a better unit. We are mostly restricted by the fact that we can only recruit a maximum of about 8 or 9 units at the present time. Or 10 or 11 units, that's right. So I'm sending that lone general to take a minor settlement. And I've left the main army under our king, Anaro, in Chester. And this is the situation with our Welsh brothers to the north, Strathclyde. They're nearly reduced to one province. They're offering their princes to marriage, and we have accepted that offer. Hopefully that will help us secure another alliance. Let's hope that Strathclyde doesn't become destroyed by all these enemies around it. And here's the situation in Wales. Powys has taken yet another province, and we set up a coordination target at an army that was roaming near our lands, so they will be the next target. Thank you for watching.